Hello friends, and welcome back to the Stitch Witch podcast. My name is Oriel, your host, and today we're doing a regular podcast update. Okay, grab a drink, grab a snack. I am intending for this to be a relatively straightforward video, but as we know, I can be long-winded. Okay, so I actually only have one finished object, and it's the thing that I'm wearing. This is my lime green Ranunculus. It is knit in Cascade Cantata, and it is a cropped little number. So that's the length of it here, pretty cropped. And I was a fool. First of all, don't look too closely because I didn't weave in any of my ends. They were just like tucked back into the sleeves. First of all, I want to say this color, definitely reading more yellow than lime. I know I mentioned that in my previous video where I showed you the product itself. And I went, well, it's fine because it's still going to be like a cool lime green top. It's not lime green at all. It's definitely highlighter yellow more than lime. And I mentioned that last time, but like now looking at it distinctly in the viewfinder, it's not green at all. It's very much so yellow. Is it working for me? I don't really know. I mean, at this point, I've already knit it. And I think the light color actually shows off the lace motif quite nicely. So I'm a fan in terms of like overall effect. I don't think that it's great for like my look. I mean, it's fun and it's exciting and it's definitely unique, and I like that it's those things, but it wasn't exactly what I was aiming for. So that is a frustration that I have. I think a lot of it was that the color leaked out when I was blocking, and I blocked because this was a partial wool but mostly cotton yarn, and online it seemed to say that, you know, even if it's a cotton wool blend, your stitches might even out after blocking. So I blocked it, but then after I blocked it, I realized a lot of the water just was like leaking tons and tons of color. So I don't know if it shifted slightly or if it was just going to be this color and it was always going to be this color. But I was foolish, and for whatever reason in my last video I said, if I have a skein left over to make a project, it's got to be like a really little project because I don't like having skeins left over. Why did I say that? When this project used every scrap of yarn, and I was so stressed out because I didn't have access to a scale while I was working on this because I was on the go, and I had 3 balls of this Cascade Cantata yarn, and it was barely enough to make this dinky little half sleeve. This is like truly a half sleeve top. I didn't do any increases or decreases. I literally just picked up and started knitting straight down, and then I did the bind off. I think maybe I added or removed, I don't know, but I was just off by a little to do the 1x1 cuff. And this body is extremely cropped, so like I don't know what I was thinking. Maybe the last one I did was 800 something yards, so this we're looking at like 660 yards, and I barely have enough to do a top. So like, could I make a t-shirt out of this much yardage? Like probably, if I like made the body a little bit longer, but I'm a very short person. I'm short torsoed. I'm just short in general, and this didn't stretch as much as I thought I did. So like I don't know what I was thinking at the time, but it was foolish of me. Ultimately, I don't know like how practical this garment is going to be in my closet because it just is really, really specific. Is it cute? I don't know. Like I honestly have no clue if it's cute or not. But it is a finished object, and I am at least like equipped with one sleeved summer garment that is not a tank top. The next thing I want to show you lovely people is my handspun. Now my handspun was claimed immediately in the last video where I said my yarn, and I did a terrible pitch. I was like, this yarn is terrible, it's no good. And I got a lot of really, really lovely messages about my handspun, and I'm wondering, and sound off in the comments below if you have some thoughts and feelings about this, but I was wondering if it would be easier to like post this on like an Etsy, or I don't know, like on a site where like if you want it, all the information is going to be there, and like you can just buy the yarn if you're interested. Because right now I was feeling DMs. I truly thought there was only going to be like one person who was interested, but I got like a decent number of requests, and yeah, it would just be easier if like everyone knew immediately what was available and what wasn't, and then I could just like post it you know, more in real time. But yeah, I finished 3 more Skeins, 3 more pieces of handspun. I would honestly be happy to spin yarn for free if it was like, hey, you're gonna buy me the fiber, and then, you know, you're gonna cover the shipping for me to like get it to you. I genuinely think it would be maybe a win-win. Like, okay, maybe I can work with a lot of different yarns, and maybe you could have a handspun fiber that you would not have otherwise had because you don't have access to a spinner. So I don't know if that sounds crazy, but it got to the point where I was like, I love spinning fiber and like not having to like deal with this yarn after the fact. So I spun this beautiful rainbow number, and it's being washed out a tiny bit, but hopefully you can see that. This is a single strand of pink merino, and then a rainbow strand of blue faced Leicester, and it's a mini skein, I think. this guy, and I'll put the weights on the screen because I do have a scale now, but I think this one came out really cute. It's definitely one of my best yarns. It's bouncy. The pink was a backward long draw, so it's as lofty as it can be given that this was a combed top. So it's like worsted preparation fiber, which means that all the fibers are aligned tightly, or like, you know, aligned. But I did it in such a way that it's like bouncier. So I wanted to create a bouncier yarn, and I think I did get a bouncier yarn. The full skein is this one. This is the pink long backward draw, and I call this my strawberry lemonade yarn. Let's see if we can, yeah, so that's that color. It's pink with some yellow bits, and the yellow bits are really cute. They kind of have that like banana-y look. It looks like candy, truly. And you're seeing it fluffy because this is the same merino yarn that has the pink and the yellow shift, and then two different types of mohair blended to create that contrast. And it's two different types of pink, so you're getting like a very blended tonal kind of look, but it's very consistently dimensional all throughout. I'm really actually fond of this one. And if I liked more of a peachier pink, I would definitely have kept this for myself. Unfortunately for me, I definitely like more of a really, really icy pink, a cool pink, or more of a lavender pink, or more of a fuchsia pink. And so this one just, based on the colors that I applied together, especially with it having like that yellow peachy undertone, it just wasn't for me, but I loved the fiber, and that's why I buy it, right? Like I mentioned, like buying fiber is its own sport. So like I'm buying fiber that I like and not necessarily fiber that I can wear. So yeah, this was really, really fun. And then the last one was an experiment on plying because I wanted to master my candy striping to be more even. And so this, I will admit, is hand spun, but like not from fiber. This is two pieces of commercial yarn hand spun together. And we are dealing with a blown alpaca and a neon sock. Now, I don't actually know which is which because at the time that I had plied it together, we had already gotten to the point where the yarns were like skeined up from their hanks and different. But hopefully you can see that this is like really even. And I love the effect. Like this is my dream yarn. I think this is around like 200 yards of yarn. But unfortunately I don't really have a little project that I want to make with this right now. And it was inspired by a spin cycle yarn because when I went on the wool walk, I saw a spin cycle yarn that was this exact color scheme. Or not color scheme, but it was this exact idea. And I just figured, yeah, that shit is way too expensive. Let me do it myself. And I did. And it came out really, really good. And I actually really like the outcome. Yeah, these are my hand spuns. Can you tell that I was having a moment with pink? And of course, of all the pinks, I really only liked this neon one on the edge. But I thought these were so cute. Yeah, definitely really pleased with the outcomes. I feel like I'm getting better and better every time. And I have been finding more resources on certain technical things. So like I'm starting to feel a responsiveness that I enjoy. And I'm also realizing that I'm wanting to preserve more balance. So it's like consistency has improved, and then the loftiness was lacking a little bit, and then the lacking went up, and then the consistency went down a little bit because it's kind of hard to control. And so now I'm kind of like gently trying to toggle back and forth a little bit so I have like that sweet spot of getting exactly what I want with the consistency. And it's just, it's a new sport, you know, it's very interesting. It's a totally different experience from what I'm used to. But for that reason, it's like very, very satisfying. Yeah, let me know what you guys think about the handspun situation. If you want, for, you know, by all means, DM me on Instagram. I said that the big die is going for 20. And this is well over 100 grams of yarn because the pink alone was 100 grams of yarn, and then it's a matching quantity of mohair, so and 2 strands of mohair. So, you know, as far as the value of the yarn, it's definitely like it's there for more. 20 would not even cover the material of the fiber, but seeing that this is more just like a merch, like having fun thing, and not necessarily like I'm not trying to like make any money off of this. I'm losing money off of this realistically. And then these two for 10 each, I thought would be fair, and you pay shipping. And that's it. So, you know, whoever, I'm not going to like do a bidding system or whatever because I don't think, you know, it needs to go that far. But let me know if you would be interested on Instagram, and if there's enough feedback that like spinning, you know, might be a more interesting thing. I might just like post it on, you know, a Depop or something like that. But I'm curious to know what you guys think because that would include fees, I think, being taken out. And I don't really want that, which is why like the Instagram thing is a little bit easier. And I only have so much stuff. So like, you know, it can only be at such a scale, you know? So I have my like very shameful naked pillow cover, and I finished the front side and I ran out of yarn. So that's why I stopped, and I was a little bit frustrated with what to do after that. From here, you can't really see where I ran out of yarn, so that's a positive thing for me. Also, being that this was a scrap busting project and I pretty much just wanted to finish, you know, like my scraps as much as possible, I'm fine with it not matching on the front and the back, which is a little bit devastating, but I'm working on a mostly single colored version on the back, but this is the pillow. You know, this was enough to at least cover the front, and you want them to be a little bit tight, you know, your pillow covers. I always underestimate how much I underestimate how much volume of yarn goes into crochet. I know it's more than knitting. And it's funny because I was a crocheter for like 6-7 years before I ever picked up my knitting needles, and I was a very avid crocheter. And you know, at the time I wasn't using really expensive wool yarns, and I see why I wasn't using expensive wool yarns, because it just goes so fast. One ball of wool yarn is only going to get you like a quarter of the way through the cover of a pillowcase, which is wild to me. And no, I didn't want to size up. I didn't want to like change the gauge. I was happy with the fabric exactly the way it was. And so with the, you know, restrictions and desires that I had for my final outcome, it was just going to be that expensive. And so I'm really, really relieved I'm doing this with scrap yarn and not like super valuable other yarn. So yeah, that's good. And one really exciting accomplishment is that I picked up a sweater that was in hibernation for quite a while. It wasn't supposed to be in hibernation, but I found it really intimidating to continue. So here is my drift sweater. It is on the needles, so it's a little bit bunched up, but it is knit in Camellia Fiber Co. Rainbow Sprinkles and SuperGlo fibers, poolside cabana in the alpaca fluff base. So this is the top so far. It doesn't look like I had much progress, but where I was last time was right here. And then I knit all the way down the front and we connected at the underarm, and now I'm just going around and around, you know, at the arm. So yeah, that is the progress that I've made so far. To me, that feels tremendous because this has been my first lace project, I think, ever. And it has this really ingenious ripple design. I'm sure if you've knit ripples, this is not impressive to you, but like for me, that is really cool. Like the texture of the fabric actually contracts and expands, like it goes like that. And the ridges are gorgeous. This was my first time working with hand-dyed indie yarn in a sweater quantity, and so this whole thing is made with yarn that I got at Vogue Knitting Live, which I think in itself makes for a very fun souvenir. And second of all, it's my first time dealing with indie dyed yarn all throughout. So this is the CFC Merino Worsted base, and then this is the alpaca base from SuperGlo Fibers, but doubled on itself because it's a fingering weight yarn. And I have to say I really enjoy it, but I'm not necessarily experiencing a joy that is commensurate to like a $30 per skein price tag. And for me, that price tag is just a little bit too high to the point where, or it's at the point for me where I'm worried about this being precious, I'm worried about this being like worn. And so it's reaching the point of like slightly more stressful to make than it is just like a casual thing to work on. Which is not an ideal way to feel about a piece, I think, but I'm hoping by the time I'm done with it, it just is really special. Unfortunately, I don't really see myself loving this either. It will be the only light colored top that I own. Like I don't own a single light colored top, which is crazy to me, but I don't know. I mean, like, I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but it just doesn't feel as me. It was really just a matter of yardage. So I bought 4 balls of this Camellia Fiber Co. yarn, and I was originally going to make a vest, but the vest patterns that I purchased, and I bought 3, all of them I felt like I had issues with the pattern. Either I wasn't jiving with the style, or yeah, usually it's just like the pattern failure rate for me is pretty high. And that's true in general, especially when the construction is like really unique and I can't already like map a pre-existing notion of like how to construct something onto it. Like if it's a really unique sweater or a really unique vest design, like the way that it's constructed is entirely unique. I do sometimes find it really overwhelming to deal with, right? And again, I had a lot of ones that were like vests that were written in English, but English was clearly not the first language of the pattern writer. So it was frustrating. Anyway, so this is to say that I made this and I'm worried about my yardage because there's only 4 stripes on this sweater. Look at it on my body. It like barely covers my nips. Like that's the top of my boob is here. The rest of my boob is down here. And then I want it to be, even if it's a cropped sweater, I want it to be a sweater. And there's also a neckline, so it's gonna pull up even higher. On top of that, I'm dealing with slightly less yarn and I wanna do the neckline first before I keep knitting. However, my problem is I kind of want to do a double folded neckline because a single folded neckline feels a little floppy to me, especially on this gauge and especially with this yarn. It's on 5mm needles. It's very loosey-goosey, and I haven't blocked it yet, but I think it's only going to get loosier-goosier. And I want to do a double folded neckline, but I am worried about the yardage. So I tried using a contrast color for the neckline. I didn't like the way that came out. I tried doing a single neckline and I didn't like the way that came out. It was like pulling on the neckline a little weird, so I do think I have to do a double folded. But I'm also worried because I don't know that I'll have enough yarn to knit the arms and the body. So I understand I should do the arms first and then knit the body only as long as I can accommodate it. However, I'm not sure. I just wanted to like run it by you guys to see what order I should do things in. Should I do the stripes first, because I know 3 stripes or 4 stripes is not going to be enough, and then maybe crop the arms and make them less bowy, like wide and balloon sleeved? Or do I make the sleeves first as intended and then make the body shorter? I think I might have to do a combination of both and make the sleeves slightly narrower with still the ripple, but not the like bowing balloon shape, and then also work on the body and make it slightly cropped. I don't really know what the solution is. I thought about also like doing the collar and the hemlines in the contrast color, but I don't have enough of that either. So it is just the game of playing yarn chicken. I don't like the game, and I don't like it, especially with the fact that this is indie dyed yarn that I can't get elsewhere. Like SuperGlo does not sell the yarn that I have in the like neon tweedy alpaca fluff, the NeoFluff, and Camellia Fiber Co. I think the Rainbow Sprinkles was like a special colorway or whatever. So like it was just one of those things where I had to buy the volume that I needed and then some. And the thing that I wanted to make was not the thing that I ended up making. And the actual amount of yarn that I have is less than I need. And now I'm playing yarn chicken. I don't like it. This is the thing, like you can never predict with knitting. I planned my stuff to a T and I had 2 backup contingencies and all of them failed. And the third option is one where I'm like flying by the seat of my pants. So it is stressful. I don't know how y'all do the yarn chicken thing. And some of y'all do it voluntarily. Some of y'all are like buying less yarn than you need on purpose because you think you can win. And this is a level of stress that like I don't want to incur in my life. I don't want to invite it in. I have like no desire for more of this. But I do want to know what you guys think in terms of like optimizing this experience because it's stressful right now. Okay, it's time to talk about cast-ons. I have a few new cast-ons that I'm really excited to share. One is simpler. It is the Easypeasy bandana by Susanne Muller. I worked on it today at work, and I specifically brought it to work because I am starting a knit club at my office because I was beseeched. Like, I was asked so kindly to teach knitting, and I organized this entire group and I gave them a whole outline and I planned a whole curriculum because, you know, I used to be a teacher, blah, blah. And everyone ended up not being in today. So I cast on this project specifically to show folks at work how to do a simple project and everything. And no one ended up being there. And I'm about to finish this project like in a few days. But this is the Easypeasy bandana by Susanne Muller. And I am doing it in this dreamy freaking combination of yarns. First of all, look at this. I don't even think the camera is like showing exactly how gorgeous it is. But this is amazing. It's a rainbowy yarn from Hedgehog Fibers. Okay, I wrote it down. This is Hedgehog Fiber Alpaca DK in the color Sugar. It's a 90% merino and 10% alpaca worsted weight yarn, or I guess DK weight yarn. And this is the ball that I wound it up with because I also combined it with a scrap mohair from China. I don't know the name of it, but it was like a mohair blend. It's like 80% mohair, 20% acrylic. And a stellina from, not Lana Grossa. I will put the name of the stellina down below and I'll put a picture of the yarn up in here. But it was all yarn from my stash. Yippee. I was honestly craving something a little bit easier to work on and smaller to work on because again, like the whole like big freaking items is just, it's a lot. So I weighed out my yarn and I thought it would be really cute. Let me see if I can like lower. Oh my god, look at how cute this is. It's speckly. And it has the peaches and orange, which is not necessarily my favorite color combination, but when it's together with this stellina, it's just gorgeous. Yeah, that's it. I just wrote Hedgehog Fibers, Alpaca DK, scrap mohair, stellina, cobweb weight. I'm going to knit until I reach the halfway point and then come back around. This is what it will look like on me, and I think it's going to, you know, shorten up a little bit because I don't really like how deep this is. You know, it's like a little bit deeper than I would have liked for a small little neck scarf. Like personally, I like them a little bit skinnier and shallower, but I didn't really know how to fix that, so I didn't. But I will say I love the increases on this. It's a free pattern, so I'm just going to tell you that you do it with yarn overs. It's like a yarn over style increase, and I think it's brilliant. Like, there's no risk of this edge not being loose enough, which has historically been my issue with these like triangle scarves, is that like the increases for whatever reason sometimes don't want to lay flat. This lays so freaking flat. It's amazing. I love the way, like, look at this corner. Gorgeous, gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. It just doesn't curl or anything, which I think is so rare. So yeah, that is that cast on. I did also cast on one of my summer items, which is the Klara blouse. In my last video, I mentioned, you know, potentially casting this on, and oddly enough, a lot of you guys are also working on this, which is so funny because like I don't think I've heard anyone really talking about this blouse online. I mean, obviously, I'm sure they are. It's more just like, it's just that of the YouTubers that I'm watching, no one is particularly talking about the Klara blouse, but it's a raglan, and I started and worked on this much. It's been like 2 weeks since our last podcast, so that makes sense. But I'm really hoping to split for my sleeves because I don't really enjoy what's going on here so far. It's just like a lot of stitches. I am worried that this arm is going to be big. I'm just like really worried about the proportion of raglans. It's one of those things where like I'm looking for my golden raglan where like the body and the sleeves and the arms, everything are like the right ratio. I'm also struggling through this a little bit because I don't have a very long cord in here, and I think I need 100 more stitches, and I just don't have enough chugga cords. I don't know where they are. I mean, I know for a fact I have enough chugga cords. I just can never find them for whatever reason. You know, either they're in projects somewhere, and I don't have that many languishing whips. Like, I'm not someone who keeps a bunch of whips, you know, in storage. And when I do have whips that are in storage, they're usually on scrap cord. So I'm not even someone who like has, you know, precious inventory. 300 something stitches on this. It's like 370 stitches or whatever. Like, it's getting tight. And the yarn I'm using is the Hobby Lobby I Love This cotton. I had store credit, and I just figured I would buy some cotton yarn because it's cheap and it's very, very soft. I've never worked with this yarn before, and I obviously don't like Hobby Lobby, but I have to, you know, begrudgingly confess that it feels really, really nice. It is thick. The stitch definition is stunning, which is hilarious to say for a black garment. But it really is like really very, very smooth. The only thing I will say is that it's a magnet for fur, and I have an orange cat who loves to sit on my knitting. So it is frustrating, but I don't know if I can maybe show you the stitch definition. And again, please ignore the abundance of cat hair all over. But this is just to show that this is fully unblocked. You know, I haven't touched this or anything. This is like the messiest this is going to be, and it looks pretty good. So I don't want to buy more yarn from them, but I do like what I have so far. And as far as I'm concerned, it's not my money because it was already paid for with store credit. So I bought 4 balls of the black and 2 balls of the white. I don't know if it'll be enough. Frankly, they just didn't have more inventory at the day that I went. And then I went back a second day, they didn't have any inventory, and they don't have like a website or anything. And if they weren't a private labeler or whatever, if it wasn't the house brand, I would be able to purchase it from any other retailer, but they don't have any other way for me to do it. And so, yeah, I just have to, you know, tough it out and see if there's enough yarn. And if there is enough yarn, great. And if there's not enough yarn, unfortunately, I will need to buy more. If someone else has the black and the white, let me know, and maybe I can buy it off of you, and then they don't have to get my money. But I'm not sure if I even need more than the 4 or 5 balls of black and the 2 balls of white. I haven't gotten there yet. But yeah, ideally by the next time we talk, I have a little bit more. I would love to have split for body and sleeves. Raglan up until now is like really miserable, but then after that, it's like easy peasy, smooth sailing. And I'm really excited just to like knit in the round, do some like very basic, you know, sleeve knitting and not have to think and just be able to do it. It feels really nice and smooth. I have no issues with this cotton. I will find that like sometimes if I knit on it for like hours and hours at a time, my hands do get sore, but really, really like not that bad compared to drops cotton or other plant fibers. Like, I don't have enough drops. Even this was tougher on my hands. I don't know. It's just like, for whatever reason, this is not so bad. And that's a positive thing in general, I think. So overall, although I was really excited for the Klara blouse and I had high hopes for it being a good pattern and you know, a good project, I am also pleasantly surprised by the fact that the yarn itself is not just a practical purchase, but actually one that I'm actively enjoying. So not that I'm going to recommend it because I don't want to recommend anyone shop there. I am going to say that as far as my individual project goes, and if you like this yarn like secondhand or something like that, it's really, really good. And I look forward to seeing how it wears and how it washes and everything because of course time will tell everything. But compared to like the KNC essential cotton, and compared to like the, you know, the Michaels brand cotton, I feel like this one has been by far my favorite for garment knitting. Okay, let's talk about acquisitions. So at Wool Walk, I acquired some yarns because they were on sale, and I'm just going to show you the representations. I bought 4 balls of Berroco Lanas in Fog, which is a really, really icy pearl gray, and then 2 balls of cast iron. I knew it wasn't black. It's black. So a pearl gray and a black. These were on sale. It's a mix of Peruvian wools, but I think they're just like a general worsted weight yarn. I've never used Berroco Lanas. I've used Berroco Vintage, and it was fine. I was surprised by how not unpleasant it was, but I wasn't impressed with the price point. But because this was 20% off during the Wool Walk, it ended up being okay. Granted, the 20% off that I saved was the amount of the passport that I had to buy to participate in the Wool Walk. So I don't actually know if this was a good deal or not. You know, I'm up in the air about it. But anyway, I bought 4 of these and 2 of these to knit a dupe of a Disturbia sweater, which is actually just a drift sweater. And so I'm thinking maybe I want to do something else. I'm not married to 2 versions of the same sweater. I think I was married to the idea of making a dupe of a Disturbia sweater because I have that video about Disturbia and other corporate kind of goth alternative clothing website dupes, and it's still coming. It's just that those videos take forever to edit, and I didn't mention this, but my iMovie crapped out and I lost all of the footage from 3 long-term videos that I was making. So there was one crafting long-term video that was like documenting progress from a project from beginning to end, and that was gone, which is devastating because I will never be able to recreate that. And then the Disturbia video, which was like ready for export, but I do several passes of editing. And so I lost that video, which took me, I don't know, 15 hours to edit. Like now I just like I don't want to go back and like refilm it and re-edit it and everything like that. But anyway, I think I'm more attached to the idea of having a perfect one-to-one dupe of the drift sweater or the sweater that is on the website than I am actually like desperately in need of 2 sweaters that are exactly the same, just in different color schemes. But yeah, I wanted to crowdsource ideas because I have 4 of this and 2 of this, which is not that, I mean, it's not an even amount. Obviously I have another ball of black kicking around in my closet somewhere. You know, I could use the Patton's wool worsted. And, you know, if it was something like cuffs and collars or something like that, black is black, I don't think it would be that big of a difference where it would be, you know, stark and unreasonable. But, you know, the more I'm dealing with the stress of my original drift sweater, the less I'm inclined to make another version in this color palette. And the more I'm like, well, maybe I can try something different. But I do want to source options. So if you have any color work options that you think would work, that would be great. Again, I have 4 balls of, so 400 grams of the main color, 200 grams of the secondary color. I just find that it's hard to know what to do with it. If I were to add another quantity, it would probably be another 100 grams of black. So at best, it would stretch to 400 grams of light gray, 300 grams of black. Maybe I could do something there and just have a very, very heavyweight sweater that I don't wear until later. Maybe I make a poncho and do like a half kind of situation. I don't really know. I don't want to do a shawl because I have a lot of yarns that I could do for shawls. So I definitely want it to be a wearable of some sort. I'm just kind of at a crossroads for what that could potentially be. Okay, also, to circle back on an acquisition from the last episode, I mentioned that I had the Cascade Pima Cotton t-shirt, and I have 3 balls of it. I have decided that I kind of want to do a Tulsta tee from Rebecca Clow, because she has bust adjustments, and not only does she have bust adjustments, she has them by bust cup. So I was thinking if I do the F cup bust adjustment for the Tulsta tee, would it be enough? And the answer is no. I have 660 yards of it. I think technically I will need more than that to do the t-shirt that I want. And so I could buy another skein of it at the risk of potentially having mismatched dye lots. And it would increase the cost of the sweater by like $14, right? Or like the t-shirt. The t-shirt is already like a $45 t-shirt. Do I want it to be a $70 t-shirt and it's a cotton t-shirt? Like, this is one of those things where like you start knitting and you're like, none of this makes any sense. And especially for summer knitting, where I think the final garment actually is like not even that nice. Not that it's not that nice, but it's cotton. You know, we're not dealing with like wool and cashmere and alpaca and silk. I mean, maybe silk, but frankly, a lot of our summer tops are just made in like cheaper fibers. and yet the yarns are still really, really expensive. Like a wool yarn is maybe $18 and then a cotton yarn is like $15, and it's like, how does that make sense? I don't know what the economy of scale is there. But yeah, for a cotton t-shirt to be like $70, I'm a little bit like, ugh, like, do I want to buy another skinny yarn just to make this like bust adjustment t-shirt? But I have to say the actual toasted tee pattern looks amazing because, you know, there's so many different variations. There's stripes, there's eyelets, there's solid versions, there's long sleeve, short sleeve. Like, I do think it's a very modular, essential pattern, and I would get a lot of usage out of the pattern itself. I don't doubt that at all. And I like the fact that it has different cup measurements. Another alternative I could take is just make the D cup adjustment and then wing it and hope that I have enough, because technically on paper I should have enough. But yeah, I wanted to crowdsource your thinking, because I know I have a couple of full bust girlies in the comments, and I also know that Rebecca Clow is really popular. And then the toasted tee, despite me having it on my wish list for like 2 years, I've never knit it. So I want to know if you have experience with that pattern. Is it really as modular as you say? Is it clear? Like, sometimes I find that patterns that have a lot of different options are sometimes a little bit overwhelming to navigate. Like, I know Midori Hirose had one. I know Lydia Morrow has a couple. Like, I have looked at patterns that are really, really inclusive and have lots of different modularity options, and sometimes they just are like a little scary to work on. So I'm just curious to know what you guys think about the user friendliness of the pattern. And generally the fit, if the bust shaping is worth it, if I should go up or down. You know, I would be an F cup, but I could swing it for a D cup, because, you know, even a lot of tank tops don't even have any kind of bust shaping. So like, any amount of bust shaping is probably good. And if, you know, if I have a less than ideal fit, that's better than like a really far from ideal fit. So yeah, curious to know what you guys think about the toasted tee. And then the last thing is that I love the Phoenix sweater by Morgan Knit that just came out. It's like this amazing barrel sleeve sweater. Is it going to be flattering? Probably not, especially because, like, if you're top heavy, it probably would look really ugly. I don't really know how it would fit, but it does look like a really comfy, cozy, slouchy, sexy, like, oversized summer sweatshirt. And in a cotton wool yarn, I think it'd be amazing. She has a Gapard yarn. I think it's called like Wool Cotton 5. It would cost me over $100 to make it in the smallest size using the recommended wool, which again is crazy, because I just feel like for $100 I could knit a really nice wool sweater. Why is cotton wool more expensive than just regular wool? I cannot understand it, and I don't really understand the economics. So if you understand why summer fibers are so expensive, please let me know, because if Primark can make cotton pajamas for $5.99, surely we can get yarn that is like a little bit cheaper, but like, maybe I don't understand. But yeah, I like the idea of having a worsted weight summer sweater because it would be fast to knit, but I don't want it to be $100. And I am a little bit worried about the shape and size. So if it's going to be kind of a dubious shape, and this is not something that I can even try on in store, right? Like, if you're not sure about like a circular yoke sweater or a drop shoulder sweater or whatever, you can go to the store, find something that's like relatively close, and then look for those measurements. This is like a really interesting sculptural, like truly art piece, and I've not seen anything like this in the stores. I mean, maybe they exist, but I don't have them near me, and I don't know what they look like, and I don't really have the access to like try something like that on. So if I am going to experiment with a shape like this, I would like to try it with a lower budget option. And I don't really have one, so I'm curious to know if there are any other cotton wool options that are heavy DK, light worsted weight. But the last thing I want to talk about is a fun announcement. So I'm very, very pleased to announce that I just launched memberships for my YouTube channel. Yay! I got some really, really sweet comments on some previous videos about memberships and like launching one. Memberships is basically like Patreon, but it just lives on YouTube. So if you wanted to make a contribution to the channel and get perks, you can do that here. I normally would like not ever do it, but I just figure I was asked. And so I think it could be fun. And I have a couple of different ideas. And you know, I had to make these promises in advance. And the thing about memberships is that when you make the proposition, YouTube has to approve it and like verify that like you are going to make do on your promise. And so I've been sworn to commitment. But I have two tiers. One is the Coven and one is the Circle. So the Circle is going to be your first low membership tier. It's a couple bucks. I think it's $2 a month. And it's going to give you early access to my videos, polling. So if I have like questions for projects or videos and ideas, I am going to do that through there. And there's going to be members only badges and emojis, which is basically just like a fun little accessory you can have on your username, so that way it shows up in the feed and in the comments, and you're gonna have priority access to my responses. So I currently respond to all of my comments because it's an obsession of mine. Like, I love being in the comments and talking to you guys. But when I'm really, really big, rich and famous, my members will have prio access. And then the deeper level is $5 a month. That's the Coven. And I was really hoping for that to be a community-based thing. So I had mentioned that for me, knitting and autism was very, very linked because it gave me a space to build virtual community and to show up and to make connections and to feel like there's a place, you know, to call home or whatever, blah, blah, blah. That video didn't do well numbers-wise, but in terms of like the reception and the conversation that it sparked and the amount of feedback that I got, it was just really incredible, you know, unparalleled in terms of like the personal stories people have told me. It was just really heartwarming and really interesting. If you haven't seen that video for whatever reason, click up in the cards. I like to think that it was a really thoughtful video, but I know that it was kind of like for a niche audience. Anyway, this is to say that I would love to, on our Coven tier list, and I have to because this is a commitment that I made with my employer now, I would love to have like a separate live stream group. So one, it's going to be all of the stuff in the previous tier, plus exclusive videos, plus live streams and craft nights. I think that would be really fun. I also considered a book club, and I also considered doing more like one-on-one stuff. If you want to like talk about your projects, like work through some creative, you know, like ideas that you have. I just thought it would be fun to have more of like a direct connection to me if you like wanted to discuss stuff and not necessarily like in the comment section where like your shit is on blast all the time, but more like, you know, I want to work through my stash and you just want to like talk your, you know, someone's ear off where it's like, you just want to dump on a friend. Like I just want to be that friend for someone. Yeah, that is going to be available. I think it should be live already from the time that this video goes up. And I know this is kind of a bonus video, but yeah, that's really exciting. Obviously, no pressure. You guys watching this content alone is already amazing. And again, for anyone who hasn't known about the hype function, that's also super useful. So like the hype underneath on the bottom, you have to like extend the little toolbar. That pushes my videos out to people liking, subscribing, commenting, like all that has been super, super amazing and helping me honestly like reach levels of exposure that I never really thought would be possible. I'm really proud and excited to be here. I think we're cultivating such a like nice and cozy space already. Everyone is so kind, so thoughtful. I'm already connecting with other content creators that I watch personally and I have watched for years. So it's already been really amazing and I just want to continue the good vibes. I want to be able to build a space where, you know, it's sustainable for me and I feel like it's like I have stakeholders. I think that's fun, and the stakeholders are, you know, ideally involving themselves in only the amount that they feel comfortable with. And if you want to have the live streams and like, and you want to have more of like the one-on-one styling and like deep nerdy project talking, and we can kind of like go through everything ourselves, and we can have polls and videos and everything like that, more like structured group, you know, craft and maybe book club sessions. That's going to be available. I'm so excited to have that be a thing because I just, for a long time, it wasn't integrated into YouTube, and so it was like scary. But now it is, and it's all here. So that's my channel announcement. Last updates for the channel is that I am planning a full 4-week color course extravaganza. One of the most popular comments that I get again and again on my channel is, how do you plan color? Your color choices are amazing. It's compliments on color, color, color. And to that I say, thank you very, very much. You know, like my entire matrilineal line has been in fashion and design, like as far back as I can remember. And so I think we just have like a real fixation on color and practicality, and I wanted to make a short video on the ultimate knitter's guide to color. I don't think it's possible. I think knowing me and knowing how thorough I want to be and how many examples I want to give, and also coming from the fact that I used to be a teacher, I really wanted to make this a big like series. Yeah, like it's just something that I feel like would be really beneficial in the space. I haven't seen like a masterclass like workshop thing about color before, and certainly not specifically dedicated to knitters. So this is not going to be like a color theory class. This is going to be about like, this is going to be how to actually predict some of the like problems that we as knitters have and how to sidestep them, how to deal with them, real life practical examples, a flow chart, organization. I have like a whole thing organized. It's like very, very structured as a workshop, and I'm very, very excited. But that's going to be a pretty big endeavor. And so join the membership. We might be able to like work it through a little bit longer. I would love to hear what you are looking for in terms of pain points. I have a pretty clear idea about the curriculum that I want to put together in terms of like how I want to present stuff and like in more order and what to be included. But if you're someone who has ever left a comment being like, I'm so curious about color, can you show us about color? How do you make your decision making? I'm not so confident about color. Color is difficult for me. If you have ever thought that, or you've ever commented that, I would really, really love to hear what you want to hear from me, basically, because it's one of those projects that, because it's going to take so many weeks to film and create and to create outlines and like maybe even like handouts and stuff, you know, downloadable forms and stuff, I just feel like I would hate to do all of that and then have people after the fact tell me that they wish I covered something. So I'm asking a favor here, which is to crowdsource frequently asked questions, concerns you have. If you're someone who struggles with color, or you've always felt a little bit daunted by it, but you feel like, you know, it would be helpful to have someone hold your hand and walk you through it in a very thorough way, let me know. And yeah, hopefully that is going to be coming out relatively soon as I work on it. Would you like it to be back-to-back videos, or would you like it to be kind of spread out, you know, across a couple of weeks? Because I do know that maybe it's not everyone's cup of tea, and it can go either way. But that is the very, very last announcement. I know today was a little bit heavy on the droning on, and I'm sorry for the really cold clinical lighting, but we had an emergency, so it is what it is. We had to film with the ring light, and no one likes that. But yeah, I am really, really happy to have this time to just chat. You guys have no clue how grateful I am just to like be here and have a, you know, a really amazing online community to report to and talk to and hang out with. You guys are so sick and so awesome. Thank you so much for watching. I love you guys, and I will see you guys very soon on the next one. Bye!